This is a really big misconception that we have around karma. And sometimes when we don't understand it so well, it's incorrect but harmless. And sometimes when we misunderstand things, it's incorrect and also harmful. This young woman, it's anonymous. She didn't sign her name, but she's obviously suffering. Not just from the trauma of having been raped, but she's suffering from this idea that somehow it's her fault, that misunderstanding of how karma works and what it means has made her think it's her fault. We also see it the other way. You have situations where people are very rich, very successful, and when they are asked to donate, to help, to do something nice for those who are poor or don't have, you'll hear them say things like, well, clearly it's their karma to be poor and my karma to be rich. I mean, if God wanted them to have money, God would have given them money. Therefore, it's against the rules of karma, or it's against the flow of karma for me to give them something or to help them. And both of these are not just horribly wrong, but really, really damaging to our societies and to our own ways of understanding. So here, in a very, very oversimplified nutshell, is how karma works. So karma is action. That's actually what the word means. And the science of physics, science of science, and also the science of spirituality tell us essentially the same thing, which is each action has a repercussion. Science tells us that we have stimuli and response, cause and effect. Spirituality, we use the word karma. And what it essentially means is everything I do has an effect, right? I mean, I drink the water, my thirst goes away. I pour the water on my clothes get wet. I pour the water on you, you get wet and probably angry also. I plant something, it grows. It's the law of nature. But what's really important to realize and to always remember is that karma is not about rewards and punishments. It's not about you deserve good things or you deserve bad things. It's really about what you have put into your karmic, in America we call it CD, Certificate of Deposit. In India we call it FDR. But you put money in the bank at a certain rate, and it comes back. You plant seeds, you get trees. Now, some of our actions, some of our karma, are what we call long-term karma. Meaning, I may plant the seed today, do the cause today, but the effect, the tree, comes only much, much, much later in life or even in another life. Some is immediate, the water example I just gave. Some of it is more short term. Things like you study hard in school, chances are you've got a much better chance of getting a good job, much better chance of having a good income. You don't study, you play around, you're lazy, you fail your exams. Well, chances are in a few years you're going to find it quite difficult to get a job or to make a good income. Short-term karma. You can think about it as a, short-term FDR or a long-term FDR. Some trees that you plant or vegetables that you plant, you come up in a couple weeks. Some fruit trees take years and years. So this is how karma works. But it is not about rewards and punishments. It's not about good and bad. But it's also really important to realize that karma does not only work in this one simple direction. Most of us think what I have today is due only to that which I did in the past. And in many cases, that's true. But karma also works in another way. For example, you look at horrible, horrible things in history. Things like the Holocaust, for example, or just awful, awful atrocities against people. Now, on one level, we could look at some past thing, and if we had the ability to see a tapestry that was as big and we were as far back, we might see karmic threads weaving together of all of the jivatmas that were together at that time. But I actually think that there's another explanation for that. A lot of times there are lessons that we need to learn that we only learn through certain experiences. And so there may be troubles, challenges, obstacles, difficulties, trauma even, not just because something in the past made that happen, but because there is something that is meant to happen in the future that requires this as the foundation. I know in my life, for example, the challenges and difficulties and even trauma that I experienced in my early childhood, well, in this life I certainly had done nothing to deserve it. I was very, very, very young. I could look at it one way and say, well, maybe in some past life I had done something and I was getting the ramifications of that. Maybe. But what feels to me a lot more true on the inside is that all of that happened not because of something I had done in the past, but because of something I was meant to do in the future. My being here today, my having the blessing and the opportunity and the privilege of living this life and serving in this way of teaching, of sharing, of guiding, comes directly out of the challenges and the difficulties and the trauma that I experienced. That was what led me to the healing and the transformation that I experienced here in India, that led me to the opportunity to be able to serve in this way. And so I think that's true for a lot of things. When I look back at something like the Holocaust, and so when you think about your own rape, don't think about it only as the effect of something that is the cause in the past, but think about what today and in the future you are going to be able to do, having healed, having overcome, having transcended that pain and that anguish, and the number of people you're going to be able to heal and to touch and to guide and to share with because you went through that. The amount of compassion that you're going to be able to have for other people who struggle. And so karma works in that way as well. So sometimes when things happen that don't make any sense at all based on what you know of what actions you've done, one explanation absolutely must be something in a past life. But another explanation also can be, what am I supposed to learn from this difficult situation that's supposed to change me in a very profound way so that I am better equipped, stronger more wise, to actually give more, share more, teach more, touch more in the world. And that's another very powerful way that karma works.